Hello and welcome to Thursday Thoughts. Thursday Thoughts? What on earth are they, I hear you ask? Well, my friend Lucy and I meet every week over on Instagram to talk all things personal growth because she is as obsessed with it as I am. And we decided that we might as well put those conversations out as a weekly podcast. So now you can listen to us chat here on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And we'll be talking about topics such as spirituality, limiting beliefs, the ego, imposter syndrome, gratitude, meditation, confidence, and so much more. So if you're ready, here we go. Right, this morning, Tuesday motivation, because we weren't here yesterday because it was bank holiday. We're going to be talking all about pets. So, so we both have a pet. I have Herbie the dog. You've got Johnny, your cat. And I kind of thought this would be a really nice topic actually, because pets, I think, can be so healing. They can be such a brilliant addition to any household, whether you're on your own, whether you're with family, whatever. And I thought it'd be quite fun to dive into this a little bit more because there's actually loads of research about
Yeah.
the benefits of pets, and the most interesting one is how they can really reduce our stress levels, the actual cortisol in our body, even by looking at a pet, let alone stroking a pet. So there is so much, I think, which we can take from a pet. So maybe I'll just tell you a little bit. Maybe shall I just
Yeah,
start
yeah,
by telling you a bit about
yeah.
my journey? So I did grow up with dogs. I grew up with cats, and then I didn't have a pet for a very long time. And then I think it was, well, Herbie just turned 7 last Friday, on Good Friday. So we got him in 2018. And it was all actually slightly by accident that we got Herbie. We had looked after a friend's dog, and we for about 3 weeks, and it was the second time we'd looked after their dog, and we absolutely loved looking after their dog. But we were always a bit. It was me actually going, no, I've got 3 small children, I've got a job. It's just not going to work having a dog. And it was everybody else in the family was like, we want to have a dog, we want to have a dog. I was like, no, we're not having it. Anyway, we looked after Sparkle, our friend's dog. And when Sparkle went, and we loved having Sparkle. When Sparkle went, we were all a bit bereft, particularly me. And I remember I was walking back from the school run with a friend one morning, and I was saying to her, I feel like I'm, really bereft. I'm really missing Sparkle. And literally, it was she then sent me a message that day, said, "Oh, I've just heard this friend of a friend's puppy dog is having 6 puppies. And they're exactly the type of dog you want. They were just dogs like Sparkle. Um, Here's her number." So obviously, I phoned. I was like, if I didn't want a dog, I probably shouldn't have touched the number anyway. I phoned the number, and she said, "Oh, they're being born whenever it was. Come and have a look." So I took the children. We went and had a look, and of course, you can't go and look at little puppies and not get one. So we ended up all by accident, and we ended up getting a puppy, and that was Herbie. And do you know what? It's the best thing. Okay, that first year was completely chaotic with all the puppy training and all of that. It was completely nuts. However, it's been the best thing for our family because he is the one thing that when anyone's pissed off or having a bad day or angry with anybody, or he's where everyone goes. It's like he's like a real center focal point of the family, who gets all the love, who gives it back, who's always happy to see you. And he is such a part of the family now that we
Yeah.
couldn't imagine. I mean, oh gosh, we can't really imagine life without him. So yes, that's our little, our journey with Herbie when we got him.
That's the downsides of having a pet, isn't it? Because they don't have a very, very long lifespan. And
Mm.
the thought, the thought of, I'm sure losing Herbie makes you feel completely bereft, and it's the same with me and Johnny. And to give some of my sort of backstory, so I also grew up with pets. We had a dog, we had a black Labrador, and in fact, I had a cat. And I say I because the dog was my sister's officially, and the cat, Ebby for short, was mine. I don't quite know how that worked out, but So I always kind of considered myself a cat person rather than dog person, much as I loved our dog. Jumbo was her name. And but so yeah, I was very, very used to growing up with pets. We had, you know, we had rabbits, we had freaking guinea pigs, gerbils, cat, dog,
So did we.
blah 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 blah. And then, but then I didn't, like you, I didn't have a pet for like basically most of my adult life. I didn't have a pet. So when I left home, went to university, and you know, got my own flat and blah 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 blah, hadn't had a pet. And in fact, because my flat in London is so tiny, I was never thinking about getting a cat. And then a neighbor slash friend of mine who lives in the same building as me said, a friend of mine has a cat, is having kittens, you know, what do you think? And she was actually talking about doing like a cat share. And I was like, I was like, basically like, no, if and when I get a cat, it will be my cat. I'm not interested in sharing a cat with anyone if I get one. And also my flat is way too small for a cat. So no. And then anyway, what very, very sadly, that particular litter, I think all but one of those kittens died. So she didn't get a cat either at that point. Anyway, a couple of years later, this cat gets pregnant again. And my friend's like, you know, the cat's pregnant again. What do you think? And I don't know what it was, but I think actually I do know what it was. It's just reminded me. So my sister got a cat probably about, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. And because I spent a lot of time there, like I kind of seeing Biscuit regularly, her cat, my sister's cat, kind of was reminding me how much I love cats. So I kind of had it in my head of like, oh God. So when my neighbor reached out to me again for the second time about getting a cat, I just said, yeah, fuck it. Why not? I'll do it. And it was so funny because I got Johnny when he was 12 weeks. He's actually turns 3 on the 7th of May. And when the funny thing was though, that when I first got him, this tiny, tiny little kitten, 12 weeks old, I had such major pet regret for that, because I did. Yeah, I did. I really did. I was like, what the fuck have I done to my life? Like, what have I done? And it's, you know, because I think it takes I think it takes a while, even if, you know, obviously he was completely divine and gorgeous when he was a kitten, like he was completely divine, but I think it takes a little bit of time to bond with a pet. Maybe it's the same with babies, I don't know, but certainly with pet, well, for me anyway. And it took me a few weeks, and I remember probably about 3 or 4 weeks down the line being in floods of tears with my sister going, I don't know what I've done. Oh my God, I've got this cat. And there's just like this creature living in my flat. And there's like, you know, because I'd lived on my own at that point for years. And suddenly there was this little live creature in my flat that was just like there and like staring at me. And I was meant to like look after it. And it was just, I really felt quite overwhelmed. But inevitably, you know, within a couple of months, I was completely obsessed, and my obsession continues to grow every single day. I literally adore this cat more than I ever, ever thought I would. Like and this is the thing about pets. They just bring so much joy, and I swear, I feel so much joy every single day because of Johnny. Like I just have to look at this cat and it kind of never wears off. Do you know what I mean? Like it never goes. It never gets less. Like I never kind of get used to how completely divine he is. It's just it never gets old. So it's just the most, you know, it's the most incredible thing. And actually, obviously you have a family, you've got a husband and 3 kids, and I'm single. And I think particularly for any single women out there listening, if you're thinking about getting a pet, just fricking do it. Because even though with Johnny, obviously he, you know, I now am not so footloose and fancy free as I was, because I have to think about, you know, if I'm going to be away for a night, who's going to look after him? I mean, most of the time I take him everywhere with me, as you know, but when I can't, obviously you have to think about that, and it's a big responsibility having a pet. Much as I'm very glad to have that responsibility, I do sometimes think, Christ, you know, long gone are the days where I could literally just drop everything and bugger off to wherever or go and see whoever without even having to think about it. But I think when you're single, particularly, not saying you need a pet, but for me, Johnny has just enhanced my life so much. And you and I talk a lot about, keeping your vibrational frequency high, and how the importance of feeling good as much as we can, because we know that what we put out, the energy that we put out, is the energy that we're going to get back. And there is just nothing like a pet to maintain that sort of high vibe frequency. At least that's what I find with Johnny. Like, if I'm feeling down, or even if I'm not, just spending a few minutes just hanging out with him, just like burying my face in his gorgeous little spotty tummy, is just like, it's too much. It's too much. Like, honestly, my heart can't, I swear to God, my heart can't take it. Like, I can't take the cuteness. In fact, this morning, when I got up this morning and I fed him, so this was like 5:15 this morning, and quite often what he'll do is he'll be in and out throughout the night, and quite often when he's had his breakfast in the morning, he'll then kind of curl up and sleep for several hours. And this morning, normally he sleeps like either on the bed or on the sofa, or on a chair, but this morning he went under my duvet, and he's literally curled up, like essentially in my bed, with just his head poking out and the rest of him under the duvet. And it's just like, it's too much. The joy that they bring is just, it's too much, isn't it?
I know, that's so funny. I mean, Herbie just makes us laugh because he's so funny. He's just, but he sleeps a lot. He's very cute. He's such a joy to have on the sofa in the evening, having a snuggle. He's absolute joy. But he also can be absolutely disgusting. I mean, he's three-quarters lab, so he will eat anything,
Really?
anything, and can be really disgusting sometimes. But you have to take it. You kind of always forgive him. Yesterday he vomited, and then of course he gobbles it all back up again because it's another meal, and it's just things like that. It's like, oh no, and then he wants to lick your face. It's like, no, I'm not. That is not happening. But he's just so funny. He just makes you laugh. He's funny, and he's not, but equally annoying. Whenever I want to stretch or do anything on a mat, he'll just plonk himself on it or on me, or and just. But it's just having that extra companion throughout the day, and he's always here in his, like, he's skipping now, but he does. He brings us so much joy, and I just love it as and I think particularly as I've had three kids growing up, and like particularly when things are relationships are difficult between them, maybe between us parents and them, and I honestly have found that having Herbie has been just so amazing, because he literally is like a therapy dog.
Yeah.
If anyone's feeling a little bit low or feeling like they need a little bit of love, he's always there for a cuddle, and he will always, they'll literally go and curl up in his basket with him. And that's what I absolutely love about him, because it's that kind of that constant love, a pouring of love that he gives out no matter what, that is just you don't really get from anybody else. Constant. He's always happy to see you. How so it really is. If I was on my own, I would absolutely 100% have a pet. I think just for the companionship, just to have that person, that creature there, but also just to get you out. And I know cats are slightly, obviously, a different, depends what sort of pet you've got, but for me that is one reason I absolutely love having a dog, because, and particularly a dog who does need to go out twice a day, and it just is brilliant to get you moving and eat whatever the weather. You've got to get out. And I think for many people, it's a really good excuse. It's a really good accountability partner. Right, I've got to get out. I've got to go for a walk, and it takes you to go and explore different places, to go to really lovely countryside, and so the health benefits in that sense are just.
A very quick break to ask you to hit the follow or subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you're enjoying this episode, I'd be super grateful if you could hit those stars and rate it too. Thank you.
absolutely brilliant. So yeah, we wouldn't be without him. He does drive me nuts sometimes, but yeah, I wouldn't be without
Yeah.
him. What I was going to say is also, it just teaches you that responsibility for care, for caring for something else. And I'm just thinking of my kids. It kind of teaches them that responsibility. They've got to look after him. He's got to be fed. It's looking after someone, not just yourself, which I think is a really positive thing. When I was teaching in schools, my last school, we had actually two of the schools I've taught in had reading dogs. So these amazing dogs who had been trained to come into the school where children would read to the dog and the dog
Oh,
would just listen because it
oh,
had been found that they were much more willing, like a reluctant reader would be much more willing to read to a dog
really?
because the dog would, yeah, and also just the whole bonding with the dog, and
Yeah,
yeah, it's amazing. So they really are so powerful,
yeah. I mean,
animals.
they truly are. I mean, basically, pets make your life better. They just make your life better. And you use the word therapy, like Herbie being a therapy dog, and I feel exactly the same way about Johnny. He is like daily therapy. And like you mentioned at the beginning, there is so much research to show the benefits of having an animal. And for people with mental health issues, having a pet is a freaking game
Yeah,
changer. It is, they lift your mood. The end. They just do. And I think especially for people who are struggling with mental health issues, I think they can be a real game changer, pets. And even for someone like I didn't necessarily need a cat. I didn't get Johnny because I felt like I needed another being in my flat. So I was very happily living my life as a single woman living alone, blah 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 blah. But I think wherever you are in your life, a pet is going to enhance it and make it better. And they truly are like therapy. And one thing actually in my book, I in my acknowledgements at the end, I do an acknowledgement to Johnny, which sounds, I literally do. I do an acknowledgement. I
I love
say,
that.
I know. I mean, and it sounds ridiculous, but I just say something like, to Johnny for being because Johnny is the only creature, the only living being who has been there every step of the way through writing that book. The
Yeah,
only person, he's not a person. I've got to stop saying that. He feels like, I sometimes feel like he's actually my child, but he's the only being that has been there through that whole process. And that's the thing about pets. They are this constant, and they are, like you were saying, with all the other relationships in your life, you might be having a struggle with that person or an issue with that person or whatever. Pets are, what you're freaking getting always. They are the same all the time, and human beings are not. And that's what's so wonderful about pets, is that you know exactly what you're going to get because they're just always the same. And also, one of the most amazing things about pets is that they are, if you watch any animal, they are just living in the present moment. Like,
yes.
they are just the most brilliant example of how to live in the present moment. And I look at Johnny, and bless him, so for the last I mean, okay, this is perhaps a slight exception for a cat, but as you know, I take him everywhere with me. And I've been up in London for the last week. I was staying, so when I was recording my audiobook last week, and the days that I was recording it, he stayed with the neighbor that I was talking about, who is the reason I got him in the first place. So during the day, so we went from where I am in Dorset up to London. Not to mention, by the way, that this cat, I take him around in the car, long car journeys, not a peep. He is so good. But dropped him off at Louise's every day when I was recording the audiobook, picked him up. We were then staying at a friend of mine's, Claire, another different house. We were then spending time at my sister's, another different house. And now we're back in Dorset. I swear to God, and going back to the whole being in the present moment, wherever he is, and bless him, he's used to being in lots of different places, but wherever he is, He's just in the moment doing his thing. He just adapts, and where it doesn't matter where he is, he's still in that kind of same routine of like playing, sleeping, grooming, staring into space or whatever. He's just, whatever happens, he always comes back to the present moment. And actually, we can really learn so much from our pets.
Yeah,
Really, truly.
they
It's
really are.
amazing.
Yeah, they are. They are the masters of mindfulness, aren't they? They
Yeah.
just absolutely can shake off stuff. So
Yeah.
so Herbie, for example, hates going in the back of the car. He always has done since he was a tiny puppy. It was always a real job to get him in the back of the car. We've tried lots of things. Actually, the thing which has worked, we've got him this special little bed, which apparently is for nervous dogs, and it's really helped him. It's really helped him chill out. But the moment he jumps out of the car, he does. He can tell that he's been a little bit stressed, and he just gives himself a shake, and it's like literally that sort of shaking off the stress, which any animal does after it's kind of experienced that sort of nervous system stimulation.
Yeah.
Shakes it off, and then he's fine.
Yeah.
And if us humans could do that more often, is shake off our stress and then just return back to a kind of a really lovely, regulated, balanced state, gosh, we'd all be much healthier, much happier. And that's what I love about animals. They just kind of, they can do that, and then they're in the moment, and then they can chill out. And yeah, the most important thing is what is happening right now. They don't hold on to stress, or, well, I mean, I know that they can experience trauma of some point, like we can experience trauma, but day to day, genuinely, if they are happy and they're well looked after, yeah, they're just in the moment, and they can really teach us something about that. They just want, happy, just as long as he's got food and he's in sleep, and go out for a walk, he's happy. That's good. It's so simple. It's just enjoying those simple pleasures in life. A nice stick, he's all happy. So I love that as well. It's so good. So yeah, I'm just trying to think. The other thing I was thinking about, which popped into my mind, is, have you seen there's this, I can't remember the name of it, but there's an amazing Instagram account where this lady has horses. She has horses for she's like a therapist, she's like a body worker, an energy worker, and she has horses because I know that horses are amazing. Lots of people use horses for healing and for therapy. But watching how these horses come and work with people and literally just lay their heads on a part of the body which is needing some sort of attention in such a gentle way is just amazing. And it's just, you just forget, these creatures all are so, yeah, they are beings, and they can be so gentle and so kind of in tune with us, and kind of can pick up on what is going on with us and what we need, and that's, I always just think, is unbelievable.
Totally. And also that, you just reminded me of something else I wanted to say, which is, it really irritates me when people, I mean, don't even get me started on the mistreatment of animals. Like, in another life, I'd like to work in that area. And in fact, I interviewed somebody for the podcast the other day, or we did like a collaboration podcast for somebody in Dubai. And she's also, she has a dog, and we were talking about pets, and she was talking about how, the treatment of animals over there is just, it's too much. It's just so awful. And it really, it gets to me so badly. And I'm sure millions of other people it does too, because, they're not just animals. Actually, humans are no more important than animals. Like, the end. We are not. We are just no more important than animals. We're just not. Animals are just as important to the world as we are. We're all part of nature. And I hate it when people are like, oh, for example, with Johnny, because I like to take him places with me, because I personally, I don't like leaving him at home for 8 hours. I just don't. I know he'll be, quote, fine. Of course he'll be fine, because he'll have to be. But animals, I think we sometimes forget how incredibly sensitive they are too. And they have emotions too. Like, I can tell with him, if, I can tell all the sort of different moods and emotions, and how, like you were just saying, how sensitive he is to me and the mood that I'm in. You can tell, that's one thing that's so incredible about animals. And also I think that the connection that we can have with our pets is amazing. And also I think that, when people lose pets, there's and actually I think cats really pull the short straw with this. If somebody loses a dog, it's seen as quite a big deal, but if somebody loses a cat, it's not seen as that big of a deal. It's kind of like, oh God, come on, it's just your cat. And what I was going to say about Johnny is that I know that some people have been a bit, for example, when I sometimes take him to my sisters, and my nephews would be like, oh my God, did you brought Johnny or whatever. I'm like, yes, I brought him. And, and your point is because they are, I don't know, I can't remember exactly what my point is, but I think it's just that the connection that we can have with them is really, really, really special. Like, even though Johnny is a cat, I feel close to him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I am. It's amazing how you get to understand all of their different the different little things that they do. You become so in tune with them. Like Johnny, he's a Bengal. Bengals are very talkative. Johnny is very, very talkative. Like, he has so many different kinds of sounds that he makes. Like, he has squeaks, which just literally I can't even take it because they're so cute. But he has all of these, he has lots of different kinds of meows. He has a yowl sound. He has squeaks and all of these different noises. And it's just amazing how connected you can feel to your pet.
Yeah.
It's a relationship.
You totally understand them, and we we totally understand what Herbie needs or what he wants. And honestly, he understands so much. I mean, I think he understands most things. He understands what we're saying. He understands words, and I really genuinely believe that.
Yes,
He totally will get what we're saying. He just does. And sometimes this is a way. This always really surprises me, and I do this sometimes. And I've heard this on something that they almost can, if you're in tune with your dog, your pet, sometimes you just need to think about taking him. I just have to think about, right, we're going to go for a walk in a minute, and suddenly he's there looking at me going, okay, let's go then. And it's like, did you really just get what I was thinking? And I honestly genuinely believe he's got what I'm thinking. I'm like, right, we're going to go now.
Yeah.
Because he's so funny.
No, I totally know what you mean. I have a similar example with Johnny, is that I try to have playtime, official kind of playtime with him every day, because he's very, very, he's a very high maintenance cat. And every day I like to properly interact with him and, run around and play with him. And it's absolutely hilarious because I can, and this is how sort of in tune we can be with pets. I can literally give him a look in the same way that you give a human a look. I can give Johnny a look,
and
he knows that it's playtime, and he will literally just by giving him a certain look, he will jump up and he'll leg it across the room because he knows what that look means. It's just the sweetest thing. And in the same way, I can literally say the words, do you want to come and have some food, Bubs? And he's like, trots along because they know.
Yeah,
they're so much more intelligent, I think, than we give them credit for.
Absolutely.
Animals are better than humans.
Yeah.
They're way better than humans.
They don't
so
talk back. They don't talk back, do they? No. That's the thing. They do. Herbie, especially when I've had 3 teenagers in the house, it's great. He doesn't talk back. Herbie's like, yes, I'll do whatever you say, generally, which is always good. So, they are
a joy. They are a total joy. I mean, I've actually got goosebumps on my arms even having this conversation, because they truly are. For anyone out there kind of wondering, oh, should I or should I not get a pet? I would say absolutely do it. They just bring so much joy to your life.
Yeah. I mean, it is a commitment. And I think for us, we were really lucky because I knew that I had people I knew who could look after him when we couldn't. I've got the most amazing dog walker who he goes to once a week, and she'll have him you know, if we go away for a night or whatever. So having people in place to give you that sense of freedom, so we don't, you know, we will take him with us if we can, but it's not always possible. That's really, really helpful. So I don't feel tied ever. But you know, you have to listen, and we would never leave him probably for longer than 2 or 3 hours in the house on his own.
Mm.
But so yes, I think it's important if you really are considering getting a pet, but just making sure that you find some. There's so many people out there who can help, and actually, there's that you can actually do exchanges now. There's for people to walk your dog or whatever. But yeah, it's totally worth it. Totally worth it.
Absolutely. Well, it's 1:30.
Yeah. Well, there we go. We talked about our pets for half an hour.
I could carry on talking about Johnny for 3 hours without any problem at all.
Oh well,
Thanks,
thank you. All right. Yeah.
We'll be back next week.
Yeah. See you next week. We'll be back then. All right. Take care.
Lots of love. Have a good day. Bye. Bye.